Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, 100? Good morning, YouTube. Yeah, I got a good live for you guys today. I found this a fascinating story. It's a story that a lot of people can learn from. You know, it's a lot of unanswered questions to this. But when I was looking at the situation and I was looking at the incident, it's a lot of questions that comes to mind about it. But to me, it's also a lesson for everybody. It's a lesson for everybody. So before I start the show, first, YouTube, I do not own the rights to this music. This music is for educational purpose only. Let's begin.
We all agree tonight, all of the speakers have agreed that America has a very serious problem. Not only does America have a very serious problem, but our people have a very serious problem. America's problem is self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Well, today's topic, self-destruction, it really ain't the rap audience's bucket. It's one of two suckers, ignorant brothers, trying to rob and steal from one another. You get caught in the mid. So to crush that stereotype, here's what we did. We got ourselves together so that you can unite and fight for what's right. Not negative cause. The way we live is positive. We don't kill our relatives. Pop, 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 when it's shot, who's to blame? Headlines, front page, and rap is the name. MC's the right here to state the bottom line. The back on back crime is way before our time. Took a rough life with a knife that's white. Cried cause he died at a trifling death when he left his very last breath. Was I said, so watch your step. Back in the 60s, our brothers and sisters were hanged. How could you gangbang? I never ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man. Cause that's self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah. Dos, tres, cuatro.
Somebody fresh, fresh to impress, ready to party. Money in your pocket, dying with your pocket. To get inside, you break the whole $10. Scotch tape with a razor blade, tape to your collar. Leave the guns in the crack and the knobs alone. MC lights on the microphone. One rushing and pushing, snatching and taxing. I can't understand why brothers don't be maxing. There's only one disco, now close one more. You ain't part of the door. So what you got it done for? Do you rob the rich and give to the poor? Yo, daddy, yo.
This is real good straight from the mouth of why daddy-o. You will crime, end up in jail, and gotta go. Cause you do crime and get paid today, and tomorrow you're behind bars in the worst way. Why from your family? Cause you're locked away. Now tell me, do you really think crime pays? You know, taking what your brother had?
Little sucker.
You talking all that jazz.
It's time to stand together in a unity. Cause there's nothing new. We're soon to be self-destroyed, unemployed. The rap race will be lost without a trace. Or a clue what to do is stop the violence and kick the science. Down the road that we call eternity, where knowledge is formed and you learn to be self-sufficient, independent, to teach the Word up. It doesn't make you a big man. And you want to know when it's your brother, man. And you don't know that's part of the plan. All this rap music is in full demand. Understand? Self-destruction. My name is just like the man. I'm a gangster. I was known as the gangster. But believe me, that is no fun. The time is now to unite everyone. You don't have to be soft to be the peace. Robbing and killing and murdering is the least. You don't have to be chased by the beast. But white people, it's time I release. Hey, yo, here's the situation. Idiocy, nonsense, violence. Not a good policy, therefore, we must ignore. Fight and fuss it. Heaven's out the door, so there'll be no bump rushing. Let's get together because we're falling apart. I heard a brother shot another, it broke my heart. I don't understand the difficulty, people. Love your brother, treat him as an equal. They call us animal, I don't agree with them. I'll prove it wrong. The right is what you're proving them. Take heed before I leave to what I'm saying. Or we'll all be on our knees. Pray. Deep in the heart of the matter, the self-destruction is served on a platter. Making a day, not failing to anticipate. They got greedy, so they fell for the bait. That makes them a victim, pick them up. New jack in jail, you get the best of the duck. There's no one around, cause in jail you're a number. They never took the time to wonder about self-destruction. That was self-destruction. Self-destruction. That was self-destruction. Yes, we urge the words we live for the love of our people to hope they get along. Getting the point to our brothers and sisters who don't know the time. So we run around. Stuck in your heads, you know our job to build and collect ourselves with intellect. To evolve the self-respect. Cause we got to keep ourselves in check or else it's self-destruction. That was self-destruction. Self-destruction. That was self-destruction.
What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? Yeah, coming at you guys with this live. This live today about this Mississippi team who was found alive on this remote island off of the, Mississippi. I found this story to be very interesting as I listened to it. And like I say, it's a lesson, it's a tragedy, but it's also a lesson to be learned from this. You know, his name is Vernon Wells. Vernon Wells, a young teen who, you know, celebrating the 4th of July, you know, with his friends. And all of a sudden he disappears. His friends come back, but he don't come back. But I'm play this audio. They're gonna talk about Nolan Wells, and they're gonna talk about the incident that occurred up to his time he came up missing. Well, I want you guys to listen to it. I'm gonna do a little commentary on this, and I'm going to explain what type of lesson that could be learned from this tragedy. Let's listen.
Breaking news, a body has been found on Horn Island near where missing 18-year-old Nolan Wells went missing. Search crews like this one you see here in the air have been searching for him for more than 40 hours now.
We got word here just about 8:45 that there was a body found on Horn Island, and the officials are now working on bringing that back.
A cell phone resting on the deck of a boat miles away from its owner. A teenager left behind on a remote waterlogged barrier island. A group of friends returning to the mainland without the very person they brought with them. Everything about this scene had been arranged. The placement, the angle, the story it was trying to tell. Except one thing didn't add up. By the time investigators finished their first hour on scene, they knew this wasn't what it looked like. And the harder they looked, the more the arrangement started working against the person who built it. This is the story of Nolan Xavier Wells and the narrative of a simple holiday disappearance that was never as convincing as those who left him behind thought. Born in 2008, Nolan Xavier Wells was the kind of kid who instinctively understood the emotional temperature of a room. Growing up in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, a picturesque coastal town where the humidity hangs heavy and Friday night high school football dictates the social hierarchy. Nolan didn't just participate in his community, he anchored it. By the time he was 18, he stood an imposing 6'1", weighing 180 pounds, possessing the kind of athletic frame built for the gridiron. But physical intimidation was the absolute antithesis of his personality. In a demographic where teenage boys often posture and clash, Nolan was the designated diplomat. His childhood friends, a tight-knit group who had navigated the complex transition from middle school to young adulthood together, universally recognized him as the calming influence. When arguments sparked, Nolan was the one who extinguished them. He possessed a rare, quiet gravity. As one close friend described him, he was the kind of person who could spark up a whole room without ever raising his voice. He was a role model, deeply respected not just for his athletic prowess, but for his profound sense of empathy. This empathy was a direct reflection of his family environment. His mother, Christine Wansley, and his father, Elmore Wansley, raised a son whose kindness was his defining metric of success. Christine would later articulate the depth of his spirit with a heartbreakingly beautiful sentiment. Nolan was a special soul. God took his time creating our son. That careful creation extended to his work ethic. Nolan was a general business major and a standout wide receiver. He had recently completed his freshman year at Southwest Mississippi Community College, SMCC, in Summit. He was a disciplined athlete, a young man who understood schedules, responsibilities, and the consequences of reckless behavior. He even took formal swimming lessons at the local YMCA, adding a layer of aquatic competency to his physical skill set. For Nolan, the summer of 2026 was a brief, sunlit pause between the grueling demands of college semesters. He was scheduled to return to the SMCC campus on Monday, July 6th, to begin rigorous football practice for his sophomore season. His bags were practically packed. His future was mapped out in yardage, business classes, and the unwavering support of his family, including his deeply protective grandfather, Christopher Wells Sr. Nolan had everything to lose and absolutely no reason to walk away from his life. He was responsible, he was loved, and he was acutely aware of his surroundings, which makes the geographical reality of where he ended up and the people he trusted to get him there the first undeniable fracture in a story that was about to shatter completely. Welcome to Dark Truth Files. We are about to look at one of the most baffling timeline discrepancies in recent history. If you're new here, subscribe and hit that like button. And
Yeah, I got this from Dark Truth Files. You guys can look it up yourself. Telling the story of Vernon Wells.
feature of Horn Island. Situated roughly 10 miles south of Pascagoula, Mississippi, Horn Island is a pristine, narrow strip of sand in the Gulf of Mexico. It is part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore. There are no bridges, there are no ferries, there are no roads, no convenience stores, and no easy ways out. The island is accessible solely by private watercraft. Once you step off a hull and onto the sand, your entire lifeline to the mainland is tethered to the person holding the keys to the boat that brought you. The 4th of July on Horn Island is a notoriously chaotic spectacle. Hundreds of boats anchor off the shore. The water becomes a dense, floating parking lot of pontoon boats, center consoles, and speedboats. The atmosphere is loud, intoxicating, and transient. People drift from boat to boat, walking through the shallow surf, mingling in massive crowds that form and dissolve with the tide. It is a place where it is incredibly easy to lose sight of someone in the throngs of holiday revelers, but it is a place where you absolutely do not leave without doing a head count. The golden rule of Barrier Island boating is universal. Whoever you bring out, you bring back. Nolan's plan for Saturday, July 4th, 2026 was standard for a coastal teenager. He was going to the island to celebrate the holiday weekend. However, a critical logistical division occurred before they even left the dock. Nolan had a core, lifelong friend group, including his absolute best friend, Javon Williams. But boats have strict capacity limits. The vessel Nolan was slated to ride on reached its maximum weight, forcing the friend group to split up. Javon and several other childhood friends boarded a different boat. Nolan ended up traveling on a vessel with a different set of acquaintances. This separation is the foundational crack in the timeline. While the exact dynamics of the group on Nolan's boat remain part of an active case, the context of his isolation began the moment that engine turned over. He was physically separated from the lifelong friends who knew his habits, his demeanor, and his exact whereabouts. As they cut through the 10 miles of open water toward the island, the safety net of lifelong loyalty was cruising parallel to him, but fundamentally disconnected. The boats arrived at the western tip of the north side of Horn Island. The anchors dropped, the teenagers spilled out into the waist-deep water, the holiday commenced. For hours, Nolan was seen navigating the crowded shoreline, blending in with the hundreds of other teenagers baking in the brutal Mississippi sun. But as the afternoon wore on, the vast, crowded shoreline began to thin. Boats started pulling their anchors to beat the evening tide back to the mainland. The chaotic energy of the daytime party began to condense and the margins for error evaporated. On a barrier island, the difference between a minor miscommunication and a fatal abandonment is measured in minutes. And the minutes were rapidly ticking down toward a departure that defies all logical explanation. By 3:00 p.m. on the afternoon of July 4th, the intense Mississippi heat was at its peak. The crowds on the northwest tip of Horn Island were still thick, a shifting mass of teenagers, loud music, and marine exhaust. This precise hour marks the final, universally confirmed anchor point in the timeline of Nolan Wells' life.
Now, to me, both being overcrowded and all that stuff, and knowing that this is the normal place where teenagers and people go during the holiday season is kind of typical. But my thing of it is, if you go somewhere, to places like this with someone, with a friend, family member, or whatever, if you go to somewhere like this, when you leave, you have to make sure, this is my opinion, that everybody is accounted for. Because as they said on that island, there's nothing there. No stores, nothing. It's just an island where people go kick it at. So when you go to places like that, you got to be accountable for people who you go with. Because, if someone's left there, they stranded. It's just like Gilligan's Island. You stuck on an island with no civilization there, no nothing, no stores, nothing. Nothing. So if you go somewhere like that with someone, in my opinion, you have to check and see if everybody's accountable for it, especially when you leave. Because just think, there's no like street lights on this island. So when it get dark, it's dark. It's dark. So I believe the first mistake was leaving that island without checking and see if everybody was on the boat to go back. That's the first mistake I believe that was made.
Incident Commander Josh Gill and local authorities established a hard fact. At 3:00 p.m., Nolan was standing on the north end of the island. He was wearing distinctive blue swim trunks. He had on sunglasses to block the brutal glare off the Gulf, and he was shirtless. He was not alone. Authorities confirmed he was actively engaged in a conversation, hanging out with a young woman. This unidentified girl is the epicenter of the timeline's collapse. She represents the final known interaction, the last person to look Nolan in the eye, hear his voice, and observe his state of mind. Yet, in the immediate aftermath, her identity, her whereabouts, and her account of that conversation vanished into the humid air. Simultaneously, the mechanics of a catastrophic failure in human decency were taking place near the water's edge. The group of acquaintances Nolan had traveled with decided it was time to leave. The protocol for departing a barrier island is rigid. You account for every soul on your manifest. You text them. You wait for them. You physically locate them.
See, I mentioned that. If you go somewhere with someone like that, you have to be accountable, or you have to make sure that everybody that came is leaving. So that was one mistake that they had made, in my opinion.
The USA.
But this group did not wait. The anchor was pulled, the throttle was pushed forward, the boat began its 10-mile journey back to the Mississippi coastline. As they navigated the open water of the Gulf, leaving the fading silhouette of Horn Island behind them, a physical object remained on their deck, Nolan's cell phone. In 2026, a cell phone is a teenager's central nervous system. It is their wallet, their map, their communication hub, and their lifeline.
And that's true with a lot of people. Some people, phones is their life, especially teenagers. Teenagers' phones is their life. Because I can speak for myself. I'll look for my phone before I look for my wallet. See, because on most people's phones, we have all types of information on our phone. We have phone numbers, we have links to our bank accounts. We have everything that's on our phone. So our phone is very important. And the teenagers' phones are really important. That's their form of communication, some of them. And when they don't have their phone, they like lost. Because I know as an adult, without my phone, I'm lost. Let's continue.
The idea that an 18-year-old would voluntarily abandon his device on a boat, or that his travel companions would not immediately notice its presence and recognize the glaring absence of its owner, strains the boundaries of belief. They had his sole means of communication. They possessed the very instrument he would need to call for help, to coordinate a ride, or to signal his location. They returned to the mainland dock. They disembarked. And eventually, this device was handed over to Nolan's family. The moment Christine and Elmore Wansley were handed their son's phone without their son attached to it, the horrifying reality of the situation crystallized. Nolan was not lost in a crowd. He was not ignoring their calls. He was completely stripped of his ability to communicate, stranded on a desolate strip of sand in the middle of the ocean while the sun began to set on the Gulf of Mexico. The people who brought him out had returned. The device that connected him to the world had returned. But the peacemaker of Ocean Springs was gone, swallowed by a silence that was about to echo across the entire country. By the evening of July 4th, the panic in the Wansley and Wells households escalated from a quiet dread into a full-scale, frantic mobilization. The realization that Nolan was stranded without a phone on a boat access-only island triggered a massive multi-agency response. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the Harrison County Sheriff's Department descended on the area. The command post was rapidly established at the Lake Mars boat launch. Search and rescue helicopters chopped through the night sky, casting blinding spotlights over the dark waters and the shifting dunes of the Gulf Islands National Seashore. When dawn broke on Sunday, July 5th, the United Cajun Navy, a highly specialized volunteer emergency response organization known for navigating treacherous southern waters, joined the search. They deployed fleets of boats, drones, and ATVs to scour every inch of Horn Island's western tip. The topography of the island is deceptive. While it appears flat from a distance, it is heavily textured with dense sea oats, shifting sandbars, and murky, unpredictable tidal currents.
A key share, that can be true. Because most of the friends that they showed was white. I didn't see one black friend in the picture. Like I say, you guys check out Dark Truth Files and you can check it out yourself. But I didn't see any black friends. He was the only black person in the group. So what you said can be true. It can be true.
While the physical search tore through the physical landscape, Nolan's mother, Christine, took to Facebook to wage a digital war against time. Her desperate pleas flooded local feeds. This is our Nolan Wells, aka Nono, one of the sweetest and kindest souls you could ever meet. He went missing on Horn Island on July 4th. I'm looking for any pics or videos that was taken on the northwest tip of Horn. Please help us find our sunshine. Law enforcement recognized the need to crowdsource intelligence from the hundreds of teenagers who had been on the island. They needed visual evidence of Nolan's movements. In an attempt to jog memory,
What's up, Fat
police
Tate?
released a photograph taken on the day of the disappearance. It showed Nolan standing in the shallow water wearing his blue trunks and sunglasses. But the image authorities chose to release contained a glaring, intentional modification. The photograph was heavily cropped. The faces of the white males standing immediately next to Nolan in the original picture had been deliberately cut out by law enforcement before the public release. In an era of hyper-vigilant internet culture, releasing a cropped photo of a missing black teenager to obscure the identities of the white acquaintances he was with is the equivalent of dropping a match into a powder keg. The official intent may have been to protect the privacy of uncharged individuals, but the public perception was immediate and explosive. The internet didn't just see a missing persons flyer, they saw a cover-up. They saw a law enforcement agency prioritizing the anonymity of the people who left Nolan behind over the transparency required to find him. Within hours, The cropped photo leaked from local Mississippi Facebook groups to national platforms, mutating the search for a missing college athlete into a viral digital manhunt where everyone was a suspect.
Now that can be. It does look funny when the authorities, you know, crop out a picture of someone who's with them to hide their identity. I can understand that they're not charged with anything, but people still have the right to know who he went to that place with, to that island with. So that would make it look fishy from the beginning. If you first hear the story, well, why isn't they mentioning the people that was with them? You know, and how everything happened. You know, they leaving and they know he's not on the boat going back. They find his phone. So before they got back to the banks of Mississippi, they knew that he was missing. So my question is, once they knew that the young man was missing, why didn't they turn around and go back? And again, the last person reported to see him, the young woman, where is she at? Where is she? See, there's a lot of unsolved questions that's being asked with nobody with the answer, that's making things look kind of strange. Make it look like some type of foul play that's being played. Let's continue.
And trust in the official narrative completely disintegrated. By Sunday evening, the disappearance of Nolan Wells had transcended regional news and forcefully hijacked the national algorithms. The digital discourse on platforms like X, Facebook, and Instagram wasn't just analyzing the facts, it was actively weaponizing them. The online true crime community, fueled by the terrifying contradiction of the abandoned cell phone and the heavily cropped police photograph, rapidly formed a consensus. This was not a tragic swimming accident. This was something deeply malicious. The racial dynamics of the trip became the inescapable focal point of the viral narrative. High-profile voices, including author Ibram X. Kendi, amplified the intense social media scrutiny. Millions of users pointed to a terrifying, historically rooted pattern. A young black man travels with white acquaintances to a remote location only to vanish, while his companions return home safe, silent, and with his belongings. The internet.
Now that's the main part of it. And that's what makes everything look questionable. Everybody but this one young black man returns safely. But he comes up missing. He comes up missing. Or just wait till after this audio video. I got a lot to say. Well, let's continue.
Demanded the unedited photo. They demanded the names of the boys on the boat. They demanded the identity of the unidentified young woman Nolan was last seen speaking to. Web sleuths began cross-referencing social media profiles of Ocean Springs teenagers, analyzing background details of July 4th TikToks, and relentlessly harassing anyone suspected of being on that specific boat. The theories grew darker and more complex by the hour. Was there a physical altercation? Was he deliberately lured away by the unknown girl to isolate him from the crowd? Did the group intentionally leave him stranded as a twisted prank that turned fatal? Conversely, the darkest corners of the internet began engaging in grotesque, victim-blaming Faceless accounts argued that an 18-year-old should have been responsible enough to keep track of his own ride, attempting to shift the burden of survival entirely onto Nolan. The noise became deafening. The viral frenzy was actively traumatizing a family that was currently standing at a boat launch, staring out at the Gulf, waiting for a rescue team to bring their son home. The situation deteriorated to the point where Nolan's grandfather, Christopher Wells Sr., a man crushed by the agonizing weight, had to log onto Facebook to command the internet to stand down. His message was a masterclass in restrained fury and profound grief. It's time for answers, but be mindful, they need space and need to grieve. He wrote, addressing the millions of digital detectives tearing his grandson's final hours apart. There has been enough finger pointing, let law enforcement do their job. He understood what the internet refused to accept. Viral speculation does not bring people home. Theories do not alter physical reality. And while the digital world was busy ripping the timeline to shreds, searching for a grand conspiracy, the brutal, unrelenting currents of the Gulf of Mexico were quietly preparing to deliver the only truth that actually mattered. The agonizing suspension of hope shattered on the morning of Monday, July 6, 2026, at approximately 8:45 a.m., just as Nolan's teammates at SMCC were preparing for the football practice he was supposed to attend. A U.S. park ranger was patrolling the shoreline. Looking out into the water just offshore on the west end of Horn Island, the ranger spotted something breaking the surface. It was a body. The massive multi-agency rescue operation was immediately halted. The United Cajun Navy officially suspended their active search efforts. The perimeter was secured, and the agonizing process of recovery began. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter addressed the press shortly after, confirming the devastating reality. The physical description of the recovered remains matched that of 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells. The blue swim trunks, the athletic build, the geography of the discovery. It all aligned with the nightmare the family had been living for 48 hours. Jackson County Coroner Bruce Lynn Jr. took custody of the remains, initiating the formal clinical procedures required by law. The body was transported to the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office. DNA testing was immediately ordered in conjunction with the family to make the official, undeniable identification and to conduct a comprehensive autopsy to determine the precise cause of death. The confirmation sent a shockwave of profound grief through Ocean Springs. Friends gathered at the Lake Mars boat launch, no longer to search, but to mourn the peacemaker who had always kept them grounded. Christine Wansley, forced to endure the unimaginable, released a statement that captured the total devastation of a mother whose bright, compassionate son was taken under circumstances that defy all basic human decency. His father, our family, friends, and I are absolutely devastated. My heart is broken for my sweet son, who was always willing to cheer and uplift others. But as the grief settled in, the glaring, unresolved contradictions remained. The official investigation by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department remains highly active. Detectives are still working backward, interviewing individuals who were present on the island, attempting to map the exact trajectory from the 3:00 p.m. conversation with the unknown girl to the moment the boat engine started, to the waters off the west end of the island. The timeline is broken. The phone on the boat is a silent witness to a departure that should never have happened. And the question of how a group of people could leave a remote island without the boy they brought with them is no longer just viral speculation. It is the central, haunting focus of a police investigation. Nolan Wells did not deserve to be left behind. And until the full truth of those final hours on Horn Island is officially established, the silence of those who returned without him will continue to speak louder than words ever could. This has been Dark Truth Files. Thank you for watching.
Now that was the story of burning whales. You know, it's crazy It's crazy, or what happened is a tragic, is a tragedy what happened. But like I said, man, it's a lesson to be learned out of all this. One lesson to be learned is when you go somewhere with someone, you don't leave without that person who you go with. That's the one cardinal rule that everybody should have. Because, like, if I go to a club, just say, for example, I go to a club with someone, when I leave, I'm going to make sure that person is cool and that they leave with me because we came together. And when you go to places like that, you have to be accountable for people who you went with. Well, it might be a female rule, but it should be a rule for everybody. Yeah, you tell the females that, but as we can tell from this, what happened here, that males should go by that rule too. You see, the thing of it is, males are not that accessible to danger like females are, which is true. Because if a female goes somewhere with another female, she has to make sure that that female leave with them, don't go off with nobody else. But in this case, it's the same thing for male. Yeah. They go to a remote island, Keisha. You go to a remote island. Just say me and you go to a remote island like that. It's my responsibility. I ain't gonna say my responsibility, but it's my honor to make sure that you leave, when I leave, that you leave with me. Or you have a ride to leave that island. See, when they came, him and his friends came on separate boats. So when they left, they should have made sure that Vernon got on the boat going back, even if they wasn't on the same boat. So that's how that is. Yeah, they went on separate boats because if they all would have got on one boat, it would have been overcrowded. So they had to split up. He wasn't with his so-called friends, his close friends that he went with. He was on the boat with some more people. He probably knew the people, but he wasn't with his close friends who he went with. So that was a separation right there. So we don't know how them other guys on the other boat felt about him or felt about black people. Because remember, amongst all his friends, he was the only black. So it wasn't too many black folks there at the island for what I saw. Like I say, check. You can check it out yourself. But it didn't look too many black people out there. Well, they had different boats. All he had to do was go on the boat that he came in on. So he could have fit on the boat. It wasn't like he couldn't get back on the boat. So he was able to fit on the boat. But he never made it to the boat. Because last time somebody saw him, he was talking to a female. A white female. So, you know, some of us, we can't be naive about it. We know how some people don't like, you know, that situation. Don't like mixed mingling. Don't like a black man messing with a white woman. You have people in this world like that. And knowing him, by him being the athlete and by him being the person he is, you knew a lot of white women liked him. Because he's an athlete. Just look at these pro athletes today. You know, some of them, you know, choose to have white wives, white women, and all that stuff. White women love athletes, especially black athletes. White women love that. So you know he was very popular at his school and probably in the state of Mississippi. You know, and you have a lot of people who don't like that. I said some choose what? You know, you have some white women who love athletes. Yeah. You very seldom find an athlete who married or dating a sister. See, if you, I'm not gonna say I was in that life, but I was around people who was in that life as far as athletes, pro athletes, and all that. If you look at any like basketball games or whatever, all you see is white women on the bottom row. You might see some blacks, but majority you see whites. And like I say, you have some white men who don't like that. You have some white men who don't give a fuck. You know, love is love, they say. But you have some white men who feel that white people shouldn't mix with black people. You have people like that. Now, this case is not solved. They're still investigating. But I'm just speaking on speaking on my opinion. It ain't no telling what happened. You know, I'm not gonna go on speculation or whatever, probably until they come, finish the full investigation or whatever. But I'm just speaking on my opinion, what I see right now. I'm just speaking on what I see right now. Something happened. Something happened. You know, that's all we know. That's all anybody knows. Something happened. Some foul happened. Well, speculate. That's all anybody can do right now, Keisha. because we don't know all the truth yet. Only thing we can go by what is presented to us now. And like I say, it's a lesson to be learned in all this. No matter what happened, you have to be careful on who you go to places with. You have to be careful on who you go to places with. You know, that's just a true fact. That's a true fact because you don't know what people's intentions are. Well, we don't know. We don't know, Keisha. It might not, it ain't necessarily that the boys who he went with had something to do with his disappearance. Only thing I could say right now, in my opinion, they should have made sure that old boy was back on the boat to go back. You know, anything is possible, Keisha. Anything is possible. But you gotta remember though, they say he was a great swimmer. And I know damn well they say it was 10 miles from the banks of Mississippi, that island. I know damn well he didn't try to swim back to the bank of Mississippi. So that's out. That's out. I know if I'm left on the island, I'm not going to try to swim 10 miles to the banks of Mississippi. I'm not going to do that. So is it possible that he drowned? Yeah, it's possible. But how did he drown? How did he drown? Like I say, I highly doubted that he tried to swim back to the banks of Mississippi and drown. I highly doubt that. Because that's suicide in itself. So that theory to me is nonsense. It's nonsense. And plus, there's too much hush-hush going on. Nobody is not saying anything. Because I know if I went somewhere with a friend and something happened, I'd be telling the authorities everything I know. There won't be no mystery. It won't be no mystery. But by everybody being hush-hush, the young lady who was last talking to Vernon Wells is disappeared. That sounds like foul play to me. That just sound like foul play to me. Because if there wasn't no foul play involved, people wouldn't mind be talking or be saying what they know. So there's a lot of mystery and there's a lot of investigation that has to be done for a lot of answers to be answered. We just don't know yet. We don't know if somebody was upset with him talking to a young white girl. We don't know what happened to him. That's part of the investigation. Hell no. Hell no. and you'll be a fool to try it. You'll be a fool to try it. You ain't, man. And don't let the current go against you in the direction that you're going. Man, you're going to get tired before you even swim a mile. Yeah, well, that's true. You can't tell if you don't know. Only thing I can say, the fault of his friends that went with him is that they didn't check on him to make sure that he was going back when they was going back. So far, that's my fault in them. But like I say, that can be a lesson learned for people. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because they said there was a lot of people out there. It wasn't just them. There's a lot of people out there. That's a known spot where people go during the holidays. So they wasn't the only one out there. Yeah. They got a full investigation going on. They got an investigation going on. What's up, bald head Wayne? Yeah, they got an investigation going on, man. Like I said, all we can do is just sit back and wait. Sit back and wait and see what they coming up with. What they come up with. That's all we can do. You know, we can come up with different scenarios, different theories, and all that shit, but, we won't know until they finish the investigation. Yeah. Yeah, you'll figure that. You'll figure that. Yeah, you'll think it'd be more video. Yeah, but, hey, it is what it is sometimes. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, man. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. It's a lot of questions. Yeah. Yeah, they say he was 6'1". I'm sure he knew how to throw hands, I hope he did. So in my opinion, I think if anybody did it, it was more than one person. I think it was more than one person. Anything foul happened to him. Now, we don't know, because like I say, they still investigating. But I'm just saying, if anything had foul happened to him, it was more than one person that did it. Because I know me, I'm 6'3". I know it ain't one person going to be able to do shit to me. Not just one person. It has to be a whole lot of people. You have to be more than one, more than two. Because if it's just two, somebody going to go night-night. So I'm sure if anything anybody did anything foul to him, there's more than one person. No, 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 no. I never thought that. I never thought that. I never thought no drugs or nothing was involved. Even when I first heard the story, I didn't think of no drugs and nothing involved. So I still believe it was some type of foul play. But I'm giving his friends who he went with initially the benefit of the doubt. Oh man, I know teens take drugs, especially popping them pills. I know that. I know that. Now, do I think they probably was drinking beer and all that stuff? Yeah, I believe they was drinking beer. But that's what college kids do. They drink beer. They drink alcohol. So I wouldn't be surprised of that. You gotta be patient, man. I'm sure they're gonna come out with the autopsy. But sometimes in autopsy, it depends, man, how long it takes to get the report of autopsy. It depends. Depends on what people looking for, what they looking for. It can take a few days to a week. Or they could have the results and it hasn't been reported yet. We don't know. We don't know. But I know this case, man, is very interesting. It's very interesting. But I'm gonna tell you, this is my opinion. This is my opinion only. I wouldn't doubt that he ran across foul play because per se, he was talking to a young white girl. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. But you got to think, this is off the banks of Mississippi. And it's just not college students that goes to that island on a holiday. So you don't know what other types of people is there on that island. You might have some bigots or something on that island. You don't know. You don't know. We don't know. But I can tell you from the video they showed, I ain't seen nothing but white people. You know? That's all I saw. So this is gonna be very interesting, man. How this shit turns out. It's gonna be very interesting. Yeah. That's why I say, he said, if he ran across foul play, it had to be more than one person. It had to be. I can't see one person harming him like that. I can't see it. Unless he has a weapon or whatever, I can't see it. I can't see it. Because it ain't like he was a small young man. It ain't like he was a small young man. That man was he's 6'1", 180. He wasn't a small young man. He wasn't small. He looked like he pumped weights for football. So he wasn't a small man. So it had to take more than one to take him down. If anything foul happened to him, it had to be more than one. See, because I can't believe that he tried to swim back to shore or nothing like that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Because you got to remember, you got to think about it. They had a remote island with no civilization nowhere but the people who came from Mississippi there. Anything can happen to someone there. You go up in the woods, anything can happen. Nobody will know. Anything can happen. You can easily unalive someone on that island and people won't know. Yeah, they said they left around about 3 or 4, somewhere around there. They said they left around that time. But I know it was before it got dark. They left. You know. But I'm sure when they left, it was still some people there. Because they said around 3 or 4, that's when people start, unhooking their boat. Whatever, leaving the island. But that don't mean everybody left the island. There was still some people there. You know what? I don't. You know what? He said, this is just my opinion. I believe they knew around the time that the boat was leaving the island. Because normally when you go somewhere, they'll tell you when they're going to leave. So I'm sure they probably knew what time they was leaving. They already had that set forth before they went. So I don't, I don't think he would have risked it to miss that boat to get back to the crib. What's up, V-Boo? I don't think so. That's kind of hard to believe. That's kind of hard to believe. That's kind of hard to believe to me. You know, well, I know it. Shit. If I know what time you leaving, shit, I might be there before anybody else gets there. You know, so I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, man. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. Yeah, that's how it is. He said we just gotta wait. We just gotta wait, man. We gotta wait. See, I wanted to wait. I didn't want to come right out and talk about this because, like I said, there's a lot of unanswered questions. But I wanted just to get it out there. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. Then maybe later on, when most of the answers are answered, the investigation goes on, then I report on it, whatever. Because I just think this is fascinating. This is, especially compared to some of the lives I did, like the young man Michael Donald in Mobile, Alabama, my man in Jasper, Texas, and other shit, And I just think this is, even though we don't have all the answers to this, but it, to me, it's parallel to all that. To me, in my opinion, to me, there's some type of hatred that was involved in this, but we just don't have the answers yet. That's how I feel about this story. Because people are too quiet to me. When people be quiet, that means something's being hidden. That's just my opinion. That's just like in the streets. You see what happened, but you ain't gonna say nothing. You know who did it, but you ain't gonna say nothing. Almost the same thing. So a lot of things that's not being said, a lot of things that's not being told. That's what makes this case so interesting to me. Because in my opinion, where there's a lot of questions and no answers, it's something that ain't being said. If something ain't being said, it's something being covered up. That's just how I feel about it. Like I say, man, it's a lesson for everybody to learn from it, man. Be careful who you hang around, man. If they don't have your best interests, you don't need to hang around them. You don't need to hang around them. Because I pray if I go anywhere like that with a friend, even if we separate, before we leave, I'll make sure my friend is cool and my friend is on their way back too. And that just don't apply to females. That's everybody. When you go to places like this, a remote island, yeah, yeah. Even a man, you got to make sure your boy, is cool. Then especially after you find his phone and not him, I would have told whoever was driving the boat that we missing somebody. Turn around. Then if they say we can't turn around, then I'll go at that. I'll go with that. I'll tell them, hey, they said we couldn't turn around to go back and get him. I just won't hold on to his phone. Then as soon as we die, give the phone to his parent and don't have no explanation of where their son is. Nah. Yeah. That ain't cool. That ain't cool at all. Yep, that ain't cool at all. Excuse me, y'all. Hitting that swagger this morning. But yeah, that's not cool at all, man. Yeah. It's not cool at all. So it's gonna be interesting, how shit turned out. It's gonna be interesting. But I don't know if you guys caught it. But they were trying to put a little fault on my man, on Vernon Wells. Every time there's a black person or whatever, just like they did Trayvon Martin and the other young black brothers who got unalive, they always try to find the bad part or what they should have done or whatever. Why can't this just be a tragedy that happened without putting, a fault or a blame on the victim? That kills me sometimes. And that always just happened to us. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. I don't know, man. You know, I tell my daughter all the time because she wondered why, you know, me and her mom don't let her go hang with her friends and different people who she called friends and all that shit. You gotta be careful of who your child and who you hang with, because you don't know what that other person is about. Yeah, I tell my daughter, if you want to go over a certain friend house, I want to meet their parents. I want to meet their parents. See, and I found out a lot of these kids who, you know, probably don't mean no good or whatever, you will never really get a chance to meet their parents. They won't, you know, they won't give you a chance to meet their parents. Or their parents don't, you know, put in the effort to meet you. See, when I come in a situation like that, nah, baby, you can't, you know, nah, you ain't going nowhere with them. Nah. Then plus after we start having these teen takeovers, nah, uh-uh. When you go through life, you have to know who to hang with and who not to be around. We at that time period, that's how we gotta move. We gotta be careful who we hang with. So I never wanted to hang with nobody who wanted to fight. If I go out, I like to have a nice time. Have my drink, do my little dancing and, you know, enjoy myself, you know, chill, talk shit, chill. I don't want to go no club and fight. That's why I don't go to clubs no more. You know, whatever I want, whatever I do at a club, I could do it at my own home. Or if I go to a club today, say somebody have a birthday party at a club, that's the only way I go to a club now. But I'm gone by 11 o'clock. Because see, everybody ain't drunk at 11 yet, so nobody ain't acting the fool. I'm at home. I'm out of there by 11. And that's just the way it is now. So you have to be careful of your surroundings. You have to be careful of your surroundings. So you get caught up in some shit, you be saying, why me? That's real shit. You be saying, why me? Why did that bullet hit me? Why did I get in this fight? That's just the time we in now. That's why a lot of people move by themselves. be by themselves, and all that because of the bullshit you can get in. Being with the wrong person, you get in some bullshit. Getting bullshit you don't even want to be a part of. Or you could be with some people who ace coon boom. But them people got haters. People don't like them for whatever reason it might be. Then you caught up in some bullshit because you with the people that they don't like. See, that's why I like to move alone. And that is in every facet of life. You can get caught up in some shit you ain't even about bullshit. And you get caught up in it. That's because of who you with. See, me in real life, I like to move freely. That's in real life. I like to move freely. I don't like to be constricted. I don't like to be constricted. I like to move freely. I like to go wherever the fuck I want to go. That's in real life. That's why everywhere I go, I show respect. I don't disrespect nobody, no matter where I go. That's in real life. On this YouTube, I do the same thing. I respect you, but that don't mean I have to fuck with you. But I show you respect. Even people I don't fuck with in real life, I still don't disrespect them. I just don't fuck with you. You know, holler, what's up, what's up, what's up? You know, boom, that's it. And that's how I am in real life. And I think if everybody applied that to themselves, things would be a lot better. Things will be a lot better. Shit, I love YouTube. YouTube is very entertaining to me. All this shit going on, this shit is very entertaining. Me just sitting back and looking, all this shit is very entertaining. I like it. I like the good guy, the bad guy. I like that. That's entertaining. I laugh on both ends. If the shit funny, I'm laughing. I think all this shit is hilarious. That's why I don't really take YouTube serious. The shit that's happening in these, I don't take this shit serious. It's entertaining to me. If you want to drop $50 to get me off a panel, that's funny to me. Shit, give me that $50. I'd jump off the panel. Shit. I won't come on the panel again. Shit. I could find something to do with that $50. But hey, people do what they do. But it's entertaining to me. Yeah, I saw that that Soulfly in a gorilla suit with a bucket hat on, sunglasses. That shit was funny as hell. That shit was funny. I saw TJ reply to it. That shit was funny too. Cause shit's funny, I'm gonna laugh. See, I came to YouTube for entertainment, man, and to do what I do. Oh. Come here for strictly entertainment. Hey, but I'm tell you, coming up next month, I'll probably do a couple of lives. I don't know, some of you guys probably haven't heard, I said it before. In my old neighborhood, every year we have a big gathering, a big picnic. Yeah, I know. Hey, bald head, I take it as humor. I don't even let it get to the point where, I get bored, because I just turn it off. I just turn it off. When it get past the entertaining part, I turn it off. So I don't even let it affect me no type of way like that. But yeah, like I was saying, next month. Yeah, I don't watch. I just don't watch. I just don't watch. Even though I can't type in TJ channel or whatever, I still watch this shit. It'd be funny. you know. But if I don't want to watch it, I just turn it off. You know, nothing against him. I'm sure people do me the same way. You know, so hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. See, I go to Moonlights. Then when I'm done listening to Moonlight, I leave. You know, that's how I do it. That's how I do it. Like you say, you can always turn it off. oh, oh shit! You can always turn this motherfucker off. Well, that's for real. But there's some people I just refuse to watch. You got those in this sector. And ain't because I don't like them. I just don't want to. Oh shit. Oh. But there's so many people you can watch on YouTube though. There's so many people. Now if I do watch YouTube, it don't always be the beef sector. I watch informative shit, other people podcasts, watch sports podcasts and all that shit. So I don't always be in this sector anyway. I be watching other shit. If I'm at home watching YouTube. If I ain't got nowhere to go, I'm at the crib. Yeah. Yep. So, like I say, there's so many people I listen to or watch. And I don't watch everybody straight through. Yeah. Hey, bald head. I'm retired. I'm too busy. I'm too busy to be watching YouTube all day. Oh shit. Yeah. No shit. Just like I went out of town a couple of weeks ago before the 4th. Shit, I ain't even come on YouTube. I ain't even come on YouTube. I ain't even post where I was at. Man, I'm on vacation. Oh shit. I'm on vacation. Man. Hey, bald head, man. Hey. Hey, man, you did your job, man. You did your job. See, I was fortunate, bald head. I had my daughter late. I was 48, but I was already on the path of working to retire. You know what I'm saying? It just happened that it happened before she got grown. But you know, so shit. But hey, man, you did your job, man. Congratulations, bro. Congratulations. We need to highlight more of these good black fathers out here, man. We are undervalued, as they say. That's all good though. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a girl. I got a daughter, man. It's girls, boy. Wee. Man, don't they put pressure on you? Boy, them girls put pressure on you, boy. Mm. Now I know where that term "daddy's little girl" come from. Boy, them girls put pressure on their daddy, boy. But I love it though, man. It's all good. The boys, you can let them just go out and be boys. Girls, yeah. Girls put pressure on you. Yeah. You know, boy, me and one of my partners, man, we was just talking about, actually it was my cousin. We was talking about, seeing your kid, the different, levels of your kids, seeing them grow up and shit. And I was telling him, I'm glad I had my daughter when I was older. Now, I get to see the evolution of my daughter growing up. I'm not out working and all that shit. I was working her first few years of life, but as she's a teenager, I see the evolution. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And I say, that's a great thing because before I had my child, man, I had freedom of movement like a motherfucker. I used to travel. I've been everywhere. So it ain't like I ain't do nothing as a young man. I lived in different places, out of state. I lived in North Carolina. I lived in Minnesota. I lived in California. Lived in Texas. You know what I'm saying? So I still live life because I ain't had no responsibility. Now I got the responsibility. Shit, I did everything. I traveled. I did all that already. I've been on cruises. I did all that. So, it ain't nothing to me now. That's why I say, man, people, shit, you gotta live life. See, if I pass away today, I'm thankful because I lived life. Never didn't do everything right, but I still live. That was a learning process. You know? So that's how that is. I think if more people, because I look around, man, it's a lot of people, even today, never been out of Chicago, never been out their neighborhood. Because you imagine living life like that. Because you imagine. You don't know what's outside of your comfort zone. I feel I'm blessed that I got to experience outside my comfort zone. Because Chicago will always be my home. Because this is where I was born and raised. But I lived in other places. I lived in the South. I lived west. I experienced other culture. That's what life was about, man. That's what life is about. And a lot of people don't experience that. Because I used to tell young brothers from my hood, man, y'all need to get out and experience, outside of Foster Park, outside the hood. And guess what? They started doing it. They started going down to Memphis. They used to have some down in Memphis. I forgot what they called it. Then they started going to like the Bears takeover. Like, they go to a Bears game, like they playing the Cowboys, they go to Dallas and go to the game, all that shit. They started doing all that. Experience outside of Chicago. Experience outside your city, outside your hood. Experience life. Only thing you know is your neighborhood or your city. Man, come on, man. That ain't experiencing life. Shit, get to a point where my cousin had called me. He said, hey, Nate, ride down to Alabama. Asked me, did I want to ride down to Alabama with him? Shit, say less. Travel. See, I could do it like that now because I'm retired. I did all my hustling and busting. So I can do that now. That's experience in life, man. That's what you do. That's man shit. All this other shit, man shit, that ain't no motherfucking man. Man shit is experiencing life. Real life. That's man shit. What's up, cuz? That's man shit. Experiencing life, enjoying life. That's man shit. See, I don't have to come on no YouTube and show that I do man shit. I ain't got to show you shit. I ain't got to prove shit to you. Because I didn't come on YouTube to prove anything to anybody. I just came on YouTube to speak my facts and speak history and do what I wanted to do. But me personally, I don't per se care what you have or anybody have. If you got money, you doing good, good. You ain't got to prove it to me. Or it don't impress me. I'm happy for you. Morning, cuz. I never was the type of being envy of somebody else or jealous of anybody else. I always had the mindset, if you're doing good, well, I can do good too. I can do good too. I might not get to your level, but I'm not chasing to get to your level. Because everybody's success is not the same. See, my form of success might be different than yours. That's right, cuz. You don't see, I don't cry for the things that I don't have. I don't get upset with the things that I don't have. I'm blessed with the things that I have. If you understand what I'm saying. See, I don't complain. Because I know there's a lot of people worse than me. I know there's people out here struggling. So I know people's out here worse than me. I thank God that He gave me a roof over my head. No, first of all, I thank God that He blessed me to be 62. Then I thank God for blessing me with a roof over my head and food in my refrigerator and clothes on my back. That's all I need. Everything else is a luxury. Oh, shit. That boy's preaching. Everything else is a luxury. So if you got them things going good for you, be thankful. Because there's some people that don't have that. And that's real shit. What's up, Anthony? What's going on, bro? That's real shit. That's why you just gotta be thankful for what you got, man. Everybody's not gonna be in the same situation. Everybody ain't gonna have the ability to buy cars, new cars, and nice cars, and you know, everybody ain't gonna be in a position to do that. You know, maybe that's not that person's goal. Maybe that person just want a roof over their head, food in their refrigerator, and clothes on their back. Maybe they satisfied with that. Everybody's level of success is different. You know, some people measure their success off of material things. You know, that's their level of success. It might not be yours, but that's theirs. Whatever level of success you have to be willing to work for it. That's the main thing. As the old saying go, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Do what you can do. Some of us is too busy trying to keep up with the Joneses. I know a lot of you young guys don't know what that means. You know, it's too much of that. That's why I don't believe. That's why I don't believe in bragging on what I have or knock down if somebody else don't have what I have. Everybody's level of success is different. Like I say, some people might just be content of able to provide a roof over their head, food in their refrigerator, and clothes on their back. Some people might be content in that. They might feel they're successful. So it is a big thing if you can pay rent to keep a roof over your head, you know, and food in your refrigerator and clothes in your back. That's a big thing to some people. So if that's what a person got and he happy in that situation, you know, hey, I'm happy for them. At least they feel successful in life. You know? That's how it is. Oh, but I'm interested to see how this Vernon Wells case go, man. There's a lot of red flags, man. Like in this swagger. Cause my cousin said, "Man, you be striking up early, huh?" I said, "Man." I said, "Man, do you know how long I had to go without smoking? And if I did smoke, I had to sneak and smoke and make sure I was clean before they dropped me. Man, do you know how long I had to go through that?" Man, I don't have to worry about that shit no more. All I say, just call me cheating chong. Call me Smokey. Shit. Yep. Just call me Smokey. But see, people, I work to do this. I worked for 15 years. Up and down these highways. And before, I ain't gonna speak of what I did before I started truck driving. Man, I never thought I'd get to this point. Always, because I saw my father retire. Yeah, I saw my older brother retire. And I always said, man, I wonder how that feels to retire. I don't have to get up and go to work. I never thought I'd get to that point. Never thought I'd get to that point. But guess what? God blessed me to get to that point. And not only he gave me that blessing, he gave me the blessing to watch my child grow. So I got a double blessing. I think that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing. But I can tell you, people, growing up, I'm not gonna say growing up, but adulthood, I saw a lot of fathers either mentally or physically absent from their kids. And that used to be my pet peeve. I hated it. I hate it. I couldn't stand, especially during that drug epidemic. You know, I had a brother-in-law on that shit. and he had a little daughter. And I saw how it affected her. Because me and my wife at the time, we used to always get her, and she used to spend the night with us. And she was so traumatized of being neglected, she always used to wet in the bed. Because I know we used to have to make sure she didn't wet in bed, make her use the bathroom and all that shit. But all that shit traumatized her. And I used to hate that shit, man. I used to hate it. I used to hate that, and I used to hate guys who hit women. These were my two pet peeves. I couldn't stand it. I had to jump on one of my partners. Well, I ain't gonna say my partner, but an associate that I knew from around the house when I was living in Minnesota, for jumping on his old lady. I was about to whoop his ass. I don't like that. Because I know me, myself, if I hit a woman, I know how I hit a man. So I can imagine if I hit a woman. It wouldn't be pretty. So that was one of my pet peeves. You know, so I was learning, you know, how to be a dad. Well, I was learning what not to do to be a dad, even though I wasn't a dad. So all through my life, I was learning different shit. That's why I said before, if God would have blessed me to have a child when I was younger, I don't think I would have been a good dad. I knew the basic things, but as far as being a dad and being there and all that stuff, I don't think I would have been a good dad. But through life, you know, after me and my wife got divorced, you know, the women I was associating with, you know, they had kids. So I was kind of like being like a stepdad, you know, a mentor if she had a boy, a mentor or something like that, you know, try to, you know, whatever. But it wasn't mine. But I'm learning through life on how to be a dad. You know. Then the last chick I messed with before I met the mother of my child, she had a son, and I mentored him, you know, mentored him, you know, our relationship transpired, you know, whatever, you know. Then we broke up. Then I was about 47 then. Then I just came to a conclusion, hey, I guess I won't ever have a child. But God saw me how I was treating these other kids. This is my speculation and this is my opinion. And, you know, I met a young lady, you know, and we had a child, my first child. And I still feel to this day that's a gift from God. Because God knew when I was young I wasn't ready, and He knew my heart. But I just did some fucked up shit, you know, coming up my adulthood. And the reason why I'm telling this story is that it's never too late to change your spirit. It's never too late. You know, shit that you did in the past, you learn from that. Life is a learning experience. You learn from what you did in the past. See, if you learn from your past, you won't repeat it. Because all of us did some fucked up shit in life. I don't give a fuck who you are. That's why I say I'm imperfect. I'm not perfect at all. But I can tell you about life lessons. That's why I call myself, that's what OGs do. OGs teach the youngest life lessons. We ain't always about the bullshit all the time. You hear I say it all the time. All it takes is an open ear to listen to what we're talking about, to listen to what I'm talking about. You know, I don't care what you did in the past. You've been in the penitentiary or whatever. God give you the blessing of opening your eyes. You have a chance every day to change your spirit. I'm talking about real life. In real life. You have a chance. You have an opportunity. And nobody can tell me that I'm lying. Because I'm a witness. I'm a witness. I can tell you things that happened to me where I can say I'm a witness. I can start off in saying the many times I was shot at. I can tell you the time where I was almost in a fatal car accident in the mountains of Wyoming. I can tell you all that. And the reason why I was in that accident was because I'm calling myself transporting marijuana. Finna sell marijuana in Minnesota from California. Doing stupid shit. I'm a witness. You got a highway patrolman telling my parents that the last couple of accidents in the same spot that I would have mine in was fatal. Not to mention, I was thrown from the car. So it took life lessons to get me to where I'm at today. I learned from my stupid mindset. I learned to change my mindset. I learned to change my spirit. Because the where I was going was to nowhere. Was to nowhere. Just think if I kept that same mindset. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys today. I wouldn't be blessed for what I have today. If I had that same mindset, if I kept that same mindset. See, and that's the problem with some of us. We don't want to change our mindset. We want to keep the same way of thinking. We want to think the same way. We want to do things the same way. You know that's insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's a sign of insanity. And some of us be stuck. We don't want to change. We think if we change, we'll be looked at different. Believe it or not, you be looked at with more respect. So why do you think some of these young gang banging boys respect me? Why do you think that? It ain't because I'm doing everything they doing or whatever. Because they see the way I move. They see how I ain't about that bullshit. I don't talk about that bullshit when I talk to them. Because I know that's not life. That's not going to lead nowhere but death or incarceration or in jail. Go one of the two. I think a lot of these guys, if they change their mindset, they have stories to tell. they'll have stories to tell. Because me personally, I don't think being in jail is a bragging story. That's just me. That's nothing to brag about. If I went to jail, ain't nowhere in hell I would brag about being in jail. Just like gangbanging. That's not a bragging thing to me either. That's nothing to brag about to me. That's not nothing to brag about, being in the gang. That's nothing to brag about. People brag about the wrong things. That's why some of our kids are fucked up today. Brag about the wrong things. Yeah. Yeah, this world, this world. This world, this world. Hmm. I already woke up mad as hell. I was sleeping good because I fell asleep on damn D. That nigga shit was just too damn long. I know he going out of town. That shit too damn long, man. I fell asleep on that shit. Now my girl got to be at work like at 1 in the morning. Her ass gonna call me 1 in the fucking morning. Man, I was mad as hell. Cause once I wake up, that's it. Man. Cause I sure was thinking about going on live this morning. Then after she woke me up, I saw I couldn't go right back to sleep. I said, fuck it. I'm saying I'm talking about this young brother. But I did take me a little nap afterwards. After I put the notification in. Yeah, I got up almost close to 4. Yeah, did my little thing, you know, wash my mouth out, brush my teeth, all that good old stuff. Made my coffee. Said, fuck it. Oh, shit. Well, I'm gonna get her ass back, though. I'm gonna get her ass back. Yeah. Well, it's cool, though. It's all good. I'm just talking shit. I'm just talking shit. Because, shit, I was tired anyway, because yesterday, did a little running in the morning. It was hot as hell in the morning. Man, I did my little running and shit. Came back to the crib. Shit. Started smoking on that swagger. I said, fuck it, I'll do a live. Did that live. Then watched Biz them a little bit. I did something else. I forgot what the fuck I did. Then came back, business was off. Damn D came on. And that nigga was on God. Damn. That was a long ass live. I guess he had to get everything in before he left out of town, I guess. Yeah, but it was all good. You going to that Jamaica, man. You going down to Jamaica. I went, when I go to Jamaica? I went to Jamaica, I went to Jamaica in 97. Man, they had some good ganja, boy. They had some good ganja. Good ganja. Shit. We had got so much of it, shit. We had to leave it there. We left it in the hotel room. Because you can't take it on the plane. Nah. You can't take it on the plane. So we had to leave that shit there, boy. That's, man. Yup. That shit was good to the motherfucker. But my boy had told me he had went after they had that big storm down there, hurricane. He said he had went. He said that ganja wasn't that good. He said it wasn't that good. I said, yeah, shit, that hurricane wiped out all the good ganja. But yeah, I went to Jamaica, 97. Been to Belize. I didn't know black people live in Belize. Belize is in southern Mexico. Been to Belize. Man, I can say I traveled. See, you can go to Belize and live like a king. That's for real. You can go there and live like a king. I can't say through my knuckleheadism, I enjoy life. That's one thing I can say. It didn't stop me from enjoying life. I did what a lot of things, a lot of brothers in my hood didn't do. Yup. I'm not gonna count truck driving. Shit, I've been all 48 states. From Washington State to Maine. South, from California to Florida. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. enjoy life. I enjoy life. But I must say, truck driving was very therapeutic too. So when you're a truck driver, you're open road, you have nothing but open road and thoughts. That's it. Now you might have your music, because I always had to have my music, because I can't drive in silence. But all you have is your open thoughts, man. Nobody to talk to. Yeah, nothing but open thoughts, man. You think about a whole lot of shit. Think about life. You know. Because that's what happened to me. Being out there on the road, I got to think about a whole lot of shit. I got a chance to really just sit back and just think about life. You know? And sometimes that's what, we have to do. We just have to sit back and just think. Man, think about our life. Just think about it. Good and the bad. See, and I'm gonna tell you what helped me, even in the bad spots, bad times, even if I felt that it wasn't my fault, always point the finger at myself and ask myself, well, what could I have done to prevent that, or prevent this from happening, or whatever the case might be. See, I never put it on nobody else. I always put everything on me. What would I have done differently to prevent that? And sometimes I think that's what we have to do, instead of always, in some cases want to blame somebody else or whatever. To me, that's how you have peace within yourself. Because we all have choices. We all was given the gift of choice. Because some shit we go through because we allow it to happen. Some of us know that the situation of bullshit, but we still go through with the bullshit. We know it's happening. Instead of just getting away from the bullshit, we stay in it. When I say bullshit, I'm talking about as far as relationship or whatever. Some of us be in some fucked up relationship, but we stay in it because some of us might feel that, hey, a safety blanket. And that can pertain to women. We stay in bullshit relationship because it's a safety blanket. He's paying all the bills or whatever. So you don't want to lose that. I know that happened because I had a friend like that. She was in a relationship. She knew the guy was cheating, but she didn't want him to leave because he was paying her bills. So she chose to tolerate that. Now she's no longer with us. Bless her soul. So sometimes we have to think, we just have to think of, about our life sometimes. We got to sit back and think. Yeah, the man was bad to you, but what could you have done to make that situation better? You could have left. You could have put his ass out. Like I used to tell her, put his ass out. You could take care of this rent. This ain't shit what you paying. She was on Section 8. This ain't shit what you paying. You can go and get a job and pay for this, then you won't have a headache. So some situations we can avoid. That's why I say sometimes we have to think back and just think about our life and think about the good times and the bad times. That's how you learn. When you get older, you learn what to do and what not to do. Or as you learn, you can teach your kids or other young kids or younger people. Because I don't know if you guys ever heard me say it before, but, and I'm going to put myself in that category because it's my generation and a little above. Black men failed the family. Even though things were planned for us to fail, we still went for the bait. Because I know a lot of my OGs, men that was older than me, like around my older brother age, some of them got hooked up on the drugs. So who's gonna listen to them? They too busy trying to get that hit. So they can't teach nobody. Nobody's not respecting them because they crackheads. Here's guys in my generation getting hooked on drugs. So that was getting rampant. So that sense of communication was broken because everybody was off doing their own thing. It wasn't like the old school when, the OGs be in the hood and they keep you from, not going to school and all that shit on the straight path. There wasn't no more of that. And that's where the communication dropped. Either you was a drug dealer or you was on drugs. You had people that worked, but some of them people that worked was on drugs. That was that time. So the line of communication was gone. It was gone bye-bye. That's why most of these young men and stuff went rogue. There's no leadership, no structure. Back in the day, if you called yourself a stone or whatever, you had to know the bylaws. If you didn't know the bylaws, you couldn't call yourself a stone. Same thing with disciples. Now, they don't have no bylaws. They don't have none of that. No structure. That's why you got members of the same gang fighting each other. You never would have saw that growing up when I grew up. You never would have saw that. Never. They had rules and structure. You couldn't go against the same gang member. If you did, that was a pumpkin head. If you didn't have no reason to do it, you couldn't do it. That's a violation. You know, and that's the problem. Black men fail. And it ain't all our fault, but the truth is the truth. But we all have choices. We made the choice to make that fast money, that quick money. We made a choice to smoke them drugs. Which destroyed the black family, destroyed the black community, period. We made that choice. I don't care if somebody put a pound of that white stuff in front of you. It's your choice to take it. We made that choice. So that's why we can't blame people for the choices we made. You can point out the traps that they put out there, but you the one went for the trap. Everybody didn't go for the trap. But it seems like the people who went for the trap got more praise. Go figure. Don't make no sense. People who were part of help destroying the community get high praises, especially when they get unalive or they unalive or whatever. They get praises like they was Martin Luther King or something. The mindset. It's like people who brag about being in jail. The mindset is all fucked up. The mindset is all fucked up. See, I got friends who went through them periods of time, who got hooked on drugs. But they doing very well now. They don't brag about it. They might laugh at the situation or something that happened, but they ain't gonna brag. There's nothing to brag about. I just think people glorify the wrong thing. Yep. Man, you know, it's a trip, but I love this feeling of getting up in the day and saying, damn, what I'm going to do today? Oh, shit. And you got to worry about, damn, I got to go to work. I don't know. Some people say they retire and they can't stay home, because they get bored. Shit. I just say I can show you better than I can tell you. But if you want to, you can find something to do. That's the thing about being retired. If you want to do something, you can find, something to do. But it's different when you have to do something than doing something when you want to. There's a big difference. So when you're working, you have to go to work. You have to go to work. It ain't what you want to do, but you have to go to work. When you retire, if you don't want to do nothing that day, you don't have to do nothing that day. If you want something to do, you can create something to do. Even if it's just going to the store or whatever. You know, clean up your crib, doing laundry, whatever the case might be. You can do it. You can find something to do. You don't have to do it. Well, you have to clean your house, but I'm just saying, if you living by yourself, you ain't got to clean it that much. You know, so there's so much cleaning. But yeah. It's love. It's a great feeling. It's a great, great feeling. I don't know if anybody going on live. I saw Biz then went on after Damn D. But yeah. No. So it's a trip. Oh, YouTube. Yeah, I try to keep my shit informative. You know, keep it informative, man. I try to speak real life shit. You know. Like I say, I don't want to come on as a prophet or a preacher. I ain't none of that. I just try to give out constructive advice, man. People to use in real life. I don't give a fuck what you do on YouTube. You can do whatever you do on YouTube. That's you. But I'm talking about real life shit. In real life. That's what matters. Yep. So everybody just stay true to yourself. Stay true to yourself. Remember, YouTube just entertainment. What makes you who you are is what you are in real life. That's the main thing. Well, everybody like what they like. You know, everybody like what they like. Damn. Ooh-wee, I hate that shit. Hope you was by a truck stop. I used to hate getting stuck on the road. A delivery van? Oh, okay. Were you on the road? Side of the highway or something? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's all good then. That's all good. At least, ooh, man, I used to hate getting stuck on the side of the highway, man. Ooh, man. I used to hate that shit. Oh, okay. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. But that's cool, man. Yeah. I know I used to hate being on the side of the road. That shit, man. That shit wasn't fun. But I used to have a TV in my truck though. We had a, so shit. I was cool, but I just hated being stuck on the road. I'd rather be at a truck stop or something. Yeah. Yeah, Fat Day, I'm wait on keep up with that case and see what type of investigation, what kind of answers they coming up with. Cause that shit seemed kind of strange to me. Then you're on an island with number of white people. That's I'm interested to see what they come up with, man. I think every content creator should do a story or do a thing on this to bring awareness to it. Cause it's too many unanswered questions, man. Yeah, there's too many unanswered questions, man. There's too many unanswered questions. See, to me, it was already fishy. Like I say, I ain't see nothing but white people. I ain't want to show the video because that could be copyright or whatever. But the video that is, the show, you could look it up on YouTube yourself. Nothing but white people on that beach. And learning how to South, well, knowing and learning more how the South is, you know it was some bigot people on there. He talking to a white girl too? Man, come on, man. Come on, man. And I say them boys ain't really his friend. Cause ain't no way in hell I leave my friend on that island. Ain't no way in hell. If that's my boy, in my opinion, either they knew or they didn't give a fuck. One of the two. That's in my opinion. Because it don't sound right. It don't sound right. But like I say, we'll see. You say Ben Crump on the case, huh? Well, Ben Crump, he gonna find something out. That's too crazy. That's crazy. I'm just them couldn't have been no friends. These motherfuckers probably was hating silently, laughing in his face and hating on him behind his back. It ain't no telling. For them to leave him there like that and know he's not there, they just got his phone. Come on, man. Just think about it. You go there with your friend of yours and you notice that your friend's not on the boat. You just gonna let him keep going, just leave him there? I don't think you'll do that. Like I say, either they knew something happened or they didn't give a fuck. Or they care about themselves. That's what it looked like to me. We'll see, though. We'll see. Ben Crump on the case. We'll find out something. Well, this their third autopsy? Damn. Well, today is the 9th. Well, they had his body 4 days. They said they found it on the 5th. Yeah, the results should be coming out. Yeah, the results should be coming out. This is the 4th day. Yeah, we probably will be hearing something tomorrow. But you know what they normally do? They give the results to the family first before they release it to the press. So the family might get it today. I know that's how they normally do it. They give it to the family first, then they release it to the press. Because since Ben Crump, they lawyer, more than likely that's what's going to happen. They don't give it to the family first before they put it in the press. So shit, we probably know something about Friday, tomorrow. We'll know something. Yep. So all right, y'all. I'm gonna get off this live. Thanks everybody that came through. Came through in the chat. I appreciate you. Okay, until next time.